y'all, it's Jessica from Sloppy Swatches. Today I have a look at the Forever Fabulous Marilyn Monroe Holiday Winter 2018 collection, available right now from Morgan Taylor. These polishes were sent to me as part of the Preen.me VIP program. I'll go ahead and link all those things down below and get right into the swatches. So first up is Hollywood Sweetheart, and this is a very light pink with maybe a touch of mauve in there. Really pretty and really classy. This is right on the edge of being a nude cream. So I'll go ahead and show you how to swatch today on my natural nail. Here's a look at that first easy coat. First off, Morgan Taylor brushes have that beautiful, thick, rounded shape that make application a breeze. I do appreciate a thicker brush, and Morgan Taylor has a great one. That first coat did lay down nice and smooth, really evenly, just a little bit shy of being completely opaque. So I am going to go in for a quick second coat, and 2 coats brought this polish completely opaque with no issues. It does dry down gorgeously glossy, but I do recommend going in with a coat of glossy top coat just to help extend that wear time. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat even underneath my artificial lighting, and then this is a quick look at a different angle under the same lighting. So next up is a bright and classy red. This is called A Kiss from Marilyn, and it could not be more perfect. This is a straight red cream. It doesn't have any pink undertones in it or orange. It's basically a gorgeous true red. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one has a little bit of a juicy feel to it. It goes on nice and easy. I did not have any staining, and I did not swatch with the base coat for these, so I don't think that's going to be an issue with this polish. It is a little bit sheer at 1 coat, so I'm going to go ahead and build it up with a second. Even at 2 coats underneath my very bright lighting, you can still make out some visible nail line. It was not evident at all in person, so I am going to stop here at 2 coats today. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. This is another one that's going to dry down gorgeously glossy. Just so in love with this polish. It's very, very classic. So that is my final swatch photo at an angle under that artificial lighting. Next up is Some Like It Red, and this is a red glitter topper in a clear or slightly red tinted base. It does have some hollow in there as well as some metallic red in all varying sizes. I am going to show you how to swatch today on its own. However, I do recommend saving this one and using it as a topper, or maybe doing the sponge method to apply if you'd like. So with this first coat, it is fairly sheer and not a whole lot of coverage going on, and I did do a little bit of dabbing to get some of those extra holographic red larger glitters onto my nail. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it builds up with that second coat. You can see here that the clear base is almost just slightly red tinted. I still think it's going to make a fabulous topper. 2 coats added more glitter, but it's not completely opaque. So I'm going to go ahead and go in for a third coat today. 3 coats is really kind of on the edge of being full coverage. I did have a good amount of glitter payoff with maybe a little bit of texture, so this is one that you're definitely going to want a glitter top coat with to kind of brace it down any of that bump up texture from the larger glitters. But definitely I would save this one for a topper, especially over maybe a beautiful classy red. So that was Some Like It Red. Next up is my top pick of this collection. This is Wish Upon a Starlit, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous metallic red shimmer polish with maybe a little bit of flash of some orange duochrome going on. It's not as evident on the nails as it is in the bottle there, but here's a look at that first easy coat. This one is intense with that shimmer, but you don't really have to worry about brush strokes at all. It does mellow out quite well on its own. 1 coat was fairly well opaque, but I did have a little bit of unevenness, so I am going to go in for a quick second coat. 2 coats completely opaque and no issues at all. This one does dry down fairly glossy, but of course I do recommend going in with a coat of your favorite glossy top coat, or even a matte top coat for this one. It's going to be really cool. So there's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat, and then underneath my artificial lighting. So next up is I Prefer Millionaires, and this is going to have that same gorgeous shimmer finish, but in a deeper brown sort of shade. So this is very rich and mocha. It feels very mature to me. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it's swatched today on my natural nail. Here's a first look at that. I did have a little bit of pigment in my bottle. I was able to smooth it out fairly well, but you can't see it there towards my cuticle, and there I just brushed it off. So 1 coat makes for pretty awesome coverage. With this one, you do want to worry a little bit about your brush strokes. Just be nice and mindful and go all the way down, or again you could sponge this on to kind of lessen the impact of that. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting, and then here's a quick view from a different angle underneath that same artificial lighting. So next up is The Camera Loves Me, and I had a follower ask me recently about my favorite oxblood polishes. So Molly, this is a very beautiful oxblood, and I think it's going to be right up there among my favorites. Just a very deep, rich, vampy red cream. So I'm going to go ahead and show you today how it's swatched on my natural nail. Here's a look at that first coat. This one has a little bit of that juicy vibe as well. So not complete coverage here on this first coat, but it does lay down a nice base. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it built up for me with that second coat. 2 coats, it does bring this polish completely opaque. It does have a bit of a squishy, kind of juicy feel to it, very rich, and it does dry down beautifully glossy. So here's a look at that completed mani at 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. Here my intense lighting is making that visible nail line look a little bit more larger than life than it is. So here's a look at that completed mani at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is batting my lashes, and this is a really cool polish in this collection. So this is a very deep chocolate brown. It is going to be very, very dark on the nails. I'll go ahead and show you how it's swatched today. So here's a look at that first easy coat. Again, like some of the other Morgan Taylor creams, it does have a bit of that juicy feel to it. It does lay down a nice base here at that first coat, but a little bit streaky. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry down and then show you how it built up for me with a second coat. 2 coats with no issues brings this polish to a full coverage and a beautiful glossy finish. Just really easy to use. This one is going to verge on the edge of looking black under most lighting unless it's intense, and then it's going to show off that beautiful brown gleam. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that artificial lighting. So next up is She's Unnatural, and this one photographed gorgeously for me. In fact, I like it better in the photographs than I did on my skin. It is a very taupey sort of a nude, very, very light. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it's swatched today on my natural nail. So this first coat does go on nice and smooth, a little bit streaky, and this one has almost a bit of a bubble bath feel, if you know what I mean. It's a little bit transparent, really clean looking on the nails. At one coat, it was not completely opaque, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how it built up for me with that second coat. 2 coats was right on the verge. I think if I had gone in for thicker coats, 2 coats would have done it, but I am going to go ahead and go in for a third coat today. I do feel like the way I applied this polish, it really did benefit from that third and final coat. So here's a look at that completed mani at 3 coats before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting. So this is another one that's going to dry down gorgeously glossy. And then this is my final swatch photo at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Ice or No Dice, and this is a very warm silver metallic. I do think there's a little bit of touch of gold in there. The glitter is very, very fine, and this formula is fairly thin. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it applied today on my natural nail. Here's a look at that first easy coat. This one glides on so smoothly. You will want to make sure that your brush is nice and dipped off because this polish did have a tendency to roll down the stem a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how it built up for me with a second coat. This one again is right on the edge of being a 2 or 3 coater. I think it's going to be down to personal preference and application method, but I did stop today here at 2. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath my artificial lighting. And the other metallic of the collection is Diamonds Are My BFF, and of the 2, this one is definitely my favorite. This is a very true silver, and it's a little bit more blingy. The particles are a little bit larger, and I think the formula is just a little bit nicer here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how that's swatched today on my natural nails. So here's a look at that first easy coat. This one does go on really smooth. The coverage does not look that intense here. If you wanted to, I think you may be able to use this one as a topper as well. I am going to go ahead and show you how it built up for me today with that second coat, though. This second coat is pretty much magic. It brings this polish completely opaque with no effort at all, just really dazzling on the nails. So here's a look at that completed mani at just 2 coats before a glossy top coat underneath even my artificial lighting. I really wish that I had gotten this one out into direct sunlight because I think it is going to be blindingly amazing. So here's a quick view of my final swatch photo at an angle under that same artificial lighting. So next up is Wrapped in Satin, and this is a very, very soft and icy blue with a little bit of silver shimmer running throughout. It does translate gorgeously to the nail, but it has a little bit of a formula that you're going to want to work. So here's a look at that first coat. It goes on nice and smooth. It feels like a crelly on the nail, so a little bit thicker but still transparent. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry down and then show you how it builds up for me today with that second coat. 2 coats was just shy of being full coverage for me, so I am going to go ahead and let this dry down and kind of even out the streaks there a little bit with my third and final coat. So here's a quick look at that. I was able to fill in towards my cuticle a little bit better as well, and 3 coats does make for full coverage. So here's a look at that completed mani at 3 coats. Before a glossy top coat underneath artificial lighting, I think that this is one that's definitely going to benefit from a glossy top coat. And this is my final swatch photo at an angle in that artificial lighting. So last up today, I have a Blue Eyed Beauty, and this is such a beautiful polish in this collection on. It is a very light sky blue cream with a gorgeous formula and a fabulous glossy finish. So here's a look at how Blue Eyed Beauty swatched on my natural nail. Honestly, I feel like this is a complete one coat polish. I didn't have any issues with coverage at all. It wasn't thinner in some spots. I did kind of go in carefully, but this is completely opaque in just one coat. So here's a look at that completed mani at just one coat before a glossy top coat underneath the artificial lighting. If you wanted to, you could totally go in for a second with no issues. These do dry down fairly quickly. So this is my final swatch photo at an angle underneath that artificial lighting. And that does wrap up my swatch and review of the Forever Fabulous Marilyn Monroe inspired collection. I'm so thankful to have received these, so a big huge thank you to Morgan Taylor as well as the Preen.me VIP program. If you'd like, you can also follow me on Instagram at Sloppy Swatches, and I hope to be able to do some nail art with these soon. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.